today. I'm early, as a matter of fact. I'm not even on time. I'm early. Shout out to me for that. My schedule is going to be changing within the next couple of weeks. So I'm actually expecting to be able to make a posting schedule, to have it be regular, and to pretty much stick to that. And also, November 6th is the day that I'm doing my third application for monetization. This time, as y'all know, I took off 99% of my Big Brother live feed videos, and I've just been making these and recaps, fitness, music, stuff like that. So I don't see any reason why the next one should be rejected, but you never know. But I'm just putting it in the air, manifesting it that by the time that time comes, which I think is about 2 weeks from now, my page will be able to be monetized. With that out the way, for me, this goes without saying, but some people have sacred rules about spoilers. So, for the people who have those sacred rules about spoilers, the episode did not air 24 hours ago. So, obviously, this is a recap of the episode. So, if you have not watched this episode 2 of the challenge Ride or Dies, then turn this video off, take time to go watch the video, review it, and then come back. So now that I put that disclaimer in there, that should satisfy the viewers. Although there will always be one or two angry person out there that's like, you spoiled it for me, you didn't warn me, blah, blah, blah. I didn't put anything in the title. I didn't put anything in the thumbnail. And I'm telling you that this is a recap of the episode. So I just want to start by saying the challenge is back. And for some of you, you might say, well, the challenge didn't go anywhere, so what is it back from? I personally have been bored of the challenge several seasons in a row. And I think that that was the main reasons why we got an All Stars 1, 2, and 3. And then we got this spin-off with Challenge USA and Challenge Australia coming up and the Challenge World Tournament, whatever. I know part of that was just branding and the fact that CBS/Paramount Plus took over and they're trying to expand their reach, get more money, whatever. But I think that especially All Stars, the challenge All Stars specifically, was because it was like, y'all new people are boring and we're getting so many complaints and we're losing viewership. So we're going to just bring back the old people, bring back the party themes, and bring back all the classic people that y'all loved watching in the 90s, early 2000s, and early 2010s. Then, after we saw how successful those people were on All Stars, it was like, okay, now let's start bringing back those people, which some of them are still young enough and good enough to compete. I mean, hell, CT is a back-to-back winner in this new era, in his 40s. So they decided to bring people back onto the main cast, which I think is so cool for me to see people again. You know, Laurel, even though I was not a huge fan of Laurel in her prime, I was so happy that she came back. Bananas. I was never a fan of him until Total Madness. And then after Total Madness, I actually met him, and he was super cool in person. Yeah, anyways, with that said, let me just get right into this breakdown, this recap. So at the beginning of the episode, it had some background stuff, some filler before we get into any of the competition stuff, right? So I took a lot of notes. So if you see me looking, it's because I have notes. So much happened in this episode, there's no way that I could just depend on my memory to just remember everything. So at the beginning, it's showing when Johnny, Bananas, and Nanny were introduced to the group because they didn't know that those people were coming. So Banana says something like, "Hey, Tej, it's quite a assembly." I don't remember exactly how he said it, but he was just making a comment. He gave TJ a hug, and he was looking around at the challengers that were there. It's quite a crew you've assembled, or something like that. And then he said, "Turbo, you're back." He's like, "Turbo, don't kill anyone." I'm looking at Turbo to see if he's gonna smile, if he's gonna laugh. He had the similar reaction as what he had with Devin, with the comment that Devin made in episode 1 about don't get any ideas when it came to pulling the knives. I'm sorry, Turbo, but you have a reputation for being crazy. Everybody's scared of you. People are like, are you even here to play the game, or do you actually just want to kill somebody? So I understand why they were all making these jokes. Nobody was happy to see him in that house. But we're going to get back to Turbo. We're definitely going to get back to Turbo. So after Johnny makes that comment, Turbo gets really mad. He's going back and forth with Johnny, right? So then it goes to a little montage of Nanny talking about how she recently lost her mother. Rest in peace to her mother. And she said that she came back in shape. She's been working out. She's been going to the gym. And she's on a mission to win this challenge for her mother. And I respect that. And I understand that I think during the time of filming was actually not too far. Hey, Andrew, I think I understand that at the time they filmed this, it was not too far after her mother passed. So it was nice for them to give that picture tribute and to give her the opportunity to have that whole explanation of her newfound motivation. I have ragged on Nanny in especially in more recent years. Not recent years, but kind of the middle-ish of her challenge career where I'm like, Nanny's just here to hook up with people and she doesn't really care about much else. And she gets far all the time because of her social game. And she's pretty good in one-on-one eliminations. It's just finals that she hasn't really been good with. I think they filmed during May through July. Okay. Yeah, so I have a respect for her now. I actually respected her last season, even though I kind of figured that she wasn't going to win once they got into a final. Um, but I respect the fact that during this time of grieving, she put that towards getting better physically, and she's trying to do something to honor her mother. So I liked that part. Um, it later cuts to Johnny and Laurel having a talk about Turbo. Laurel talks about the whole fight that they got at the beginning, the whole fight that they got in the first episode over the champagne. So Laurel's obviously not a fan of Turbo. Johnny's not a fan of Turbo. And I think really none of them in the house are a big fan of Turbo, as we got into later. I hate people shame her for hooking up when everyone else does it. Yeah, for me, it wasn't really the hookup part itself. It was just the fact that I was like, I personally like people who come on the show to win the show. But I will say that it was a different time and era back when she started doing the challenge, where the prizes weren't as big and the stipend, the money they get for being there, wasn't as big. So it was more like vacation vibes back in the day. So we get to a scene of Devin talking to Johnny. So the thing is, because of what happened with the other Johnny and the big waves and the big speech that he made after winning the first daily and picking two vet teams to go against each other and all that stuff, I think all the vets are like, we don't want this to end up being a season where all the rookies actually band together, because they are the future of the show. Let's be real. Even though I'm happy to see our favorites coming back, they're not going to have that many more seasons left in them. So MTV or whoever owns this show at this point, CBS, is definitely looking for a rookie rising. You even heard TJ say it in episode 1. Oh, rookies won the first mission. I love when rookies win, or whatever he said. They're looking to get some of those rookies as recruits to be the next group. I did hear about Theo getting contacted for the challenge tournament. So which part are we at right now? Okay, so there's a conversation between Devin and Johnny, where Devin we all know Devin and Johnny's history. And when I met Devin last week and I spoke to him at the Challenge Mania event, he actually said that he likes Johnny now. And then this confirmed it on the show. So he said, Johnny, believe it or not, I'm happy to see you. And it's like, we know about their history and the comments that Johnny made about Devin's father, who's deceased, and all that. And the fact that Devin wanted to fight him on the show and then wanted to fight him at the reunion show. It was just a big history between them. But I think time and years and distance have gone by. And also, they're like, I feel like they're almost like, I know Devin's younger than him, but it feels like a college alumni or something coming back to their old alma mater. And they're connecting with the people that they know, that they've been with, versus the ones that are new. And the interesting thing is, in Johnny's heyday, in Johnny's prime, he made it a point to connect with the rookies. But I think seeing what has happened in the last couple of seasons with the vets, and especially the vets who have won, he's like, no, I can't do that rookie strategy anymore, because they would probably use me to get rid of the rest of my peers and then get rid of me first when it's like me and rookies. So I feel like he almost wants to work with his peers more and then take shots at each other once, they've gotten the rookies out of there. But that's just my guess. He hasn't specifically said that. Let me see here. So the next thing that happened over here was Tori. Tori was talking to Devin, and y'all know that I'm a mental health advocate. So I thought that it was really big for her to be able to admit on TV, on national TV, that she has been putting in work on herself. She didn't specifically say this, but she alluded to the fact that she's been going to therapy. She probably got some kind of diagnosis and has been working on herself and her mental health. She mentioned taking antidepressants and the fact that that has been working for her. So I think that was a big thing for her to be able to figure out what was wrong during the off season and to start to work towards getting better. But we also know that the way these videos are being set up, and production was setting up the videos, was that we knew that Jordan was going to be coming back. So it was just like showing us that she's all good based on where they were right at that moment when she had that conversation with Devin. But we all wondered, like, what is it going to be like when Devin actually comes back into the house? So we get into the challenge. We get into the daily challenge. And I'm like, oh, TJ's like, oh, I got some news. Like, apparently Emmy quits. I thought that TJ would go in on a quitting speech or a quitting rant. He didn't do that, but unfortunately she quit. And I'm like, man, somebody just doesn't like Nam. Like the challenge gods, as Derek always calls them, the challenge gods don't like Nam. I like Nam. The fandom likes Nam. It seems like all of his peers like Nam, but for whatever reason, something always happens that makes Nam have to go. Two partners quitting, and COVID. Nam is always there for like, well, I think the first season he was there with Lolo. He was there for quite a few episodes that season before she left, but Nam, I would like to see Nam actually leave a season because he either won or because somebody took him out. Nam always seems to have to leave for non-game reasons. I wish TJ had been like, "Oh, you know that I like surprises or whatever," and brought another partner for Nam or something. But it is what it is. Nothing that we can do about that. Nam was out. Emmy quit. So we get into this challenge, which was them jumping onto this platform, climbing up a rope. The other partner has to come from the other side, jump on, grab the rope, and balance. I thought this was a cool challenge. Um, yeah, Lola was a huge letdown. I thought this was a cool challenge, and I was saying this as I was watching Challenge USA, which I didn't really love the Challenge USA in and of itself, but I liked how the competitions were new and fresh. And I was saying, I hope that when the main challenge comes back, they're going to infuse some of that new creativity. And they have so far. So I thought this was really cool. They started out by showing Horatio and Olivia. Horatio looked like Spider-Man out there with the jump that he did. And Olivia, Olivia was pretty good, surprisingly. I think she did a good job. They were the first team that were able to complete the mission. And then it showed, right after that, it showed Turbo and Tamara. Turbo made it on there kind of, I wouldn't say no problem, but he made it onto the platform. His partner Tamara fell into the water. Everyone was excited. So it was clear at that point already that people were just not feeling Turbo. Next, they showed a big montage of all the different teams that were just wiping out and falling into the water. The next relevant team that they showed was Devin and Tori. I highly expected Tori and Devin to do well, as I expect them to do well. Because the thing is, with Ride or Dies, it's good having a partner that you trust, that you love, somebody that you get along well with, all that good stuff, right? All that stuff is good. But you're at an advantage if your ride or die is somebody who has done the challenge before. So like a Nanny and Bananas, a Devin and Tori, like those teams that have both competed in the challenge before, I think are the biggest advantage because not only do they know each other, they trust each other, they've been in ride or die situations on the show specifically before, and they're not rookies to the show. So I expected them to do good, and they did. They were the next team that they showed. So they made it across. They made it look pretty easy, as a matter of fact. Even Devin. um, what's this guy's name? Nelson. Nelson called him daddy. He's like, did I call him daddy? That was funny. So after Devin and Tori finished, Devin says, my fingers feel like they have chlamydia. And Tori said, how do you know what that feels like? And he was like, well, I've had it several times, which I thought was funny. So the next team to go was Bananas and Nanny. I knew Bananas was going to do well. Nanny surprised me. I was like, wow, she did this and made it look pretty easy, as a matter of fact. So they were the next team they showed make it across. Casey and Kenny actually come back. And as everyone was saying, we knew they were going to come back because we saw them in the preview. So it wasn't a surprise that they came back. It was a surprise to me that they came back so early. But I guess the other part of that equation is that if they had brought them back late into the game, then it would have been an issue for a lot of people because it's like we fought and competed to be here. But then again, they're doing this weird thing this season where they're staggering in these vets that they're bringing in. They're staggering in the vets. So they've really randomized things, and I can already see a lot of areas where people are going to say certain things aren't fair. But as a viewer, it's just it keeps you on your toes. Some of these ride or dies don't make sense. Jordan and Anissa and Johnny and Raven aren't ride or dies. Yeah, some of them, well, behind the scenes stuff is that some of them were put together because their original ride or die that was supposed to be there did not go for whatever reason. And I heard that Jordan was supposed to be partnered with Nia. Man, do I wish that that had happened. Number one, Jordan would have had a way better chance to win with Nia than with Anissa. Number two, can you imagine the drama of a person that Tori said in interviews? Well, she didn't say her by name, but she alluded to the fact that Jordan hooked up with Nia to get back at her for hooking up with Fessy. So, and Nia is a person who doesn't back down from any situation. So, I would have just loved to see that. But hey, there's probably already going to be enough drama with them. So, they can't have everything. They tried. I feel like this season they're doing a lot more than they have in the last 3 or 4. So, where were we at? Kenny and Casey go in. Kenny and Casey complete the daily. Kenny looked shaky at the beginning, like he was having trouble climbing up the ladder, but he made it up. Casey, I wasn't surprised. Physically, she's a beast, and they make it across. So those are the only teams that seemed to make it across from what they showed us. Horatio and Olivia, Bananas and Nanny, Casey and Kenny. Let me know if I missed anybody, but that's what I have here in my notes. So TJ said that the teams were separated by 4 seconds. And the winner is Bananas and Nanny. So I'm saying to myself, this is probably great for the show, honestly, for Bananas in his first week back to instantly have power in the game. And now we see the mastermind Bananas at work with the power. I think that was a really epic way to start things off. So we start off with Nanny trying to talk to Turbo. Oh God, this conversation was giving me a headache. And it was probably giving her a headache too. She was trying to ask the man, hey, Turbo, I just want to know, I've heard from people in the house that you want to go into elimination. And we remember in week 1, he was walking around saying, I'll take everybody out one by one. So he was mad and offended that she even asked him this question. But genuinely, it looked like Nanny was just trying to ask him, are you okay if I select you as one of the names? He was so mad that he said to her, if I wanted to go in, I would come to you. And she's basically like, you're my friend. You say that you cherish my friendship. Just talk to me. All you have to tell me is, no, I don't want to be put up and I won't put you up. He has this big thing about honor, this and that. I don't beg anybody. Whatever you want to do, just do whatever you want to do. He's walking away from her. He's disrespecting her. He's actually like standing up and puffing out his chest. I know that he's going to get killed for that. I already know. I'm not even really going to go in about that, but I already know what the fandom is going to say about how aggressive that Turbo has been with the females. So yeah, I didn't like that whole interaction. The whole house was watching. Nobody liked that interaction. So she's like, okay. we'll see what happens from here, but they're definitely going to be one of the four selections that we make. So the four selections that were made: Michelle and Jay, Raven and Johnny, Tamara, Turbo, Horatio, and Olivia. Not surprising. I think good choices. Johnny Bananas had his hand in that. Those are the type of picks I would expect him to make. So when we get into these deliberations or whatever, Bananas told the other Johnny, he was like, "Y'all are swinging for the fence, and we're the fence." That was, that was Bananas talk. He jumped in there, and he's like, "I'm in power, and I'm gonna let these guys know. Like, I'm trying to break up this whole rookie thing. We're gonna make big shots and big moves type of thing." So Johnny, when he gets to talking to Jay and Michelle, Johnny basically tells Jay, I know that Bananas tells Jay, this is going to get confusing. Bananas tells Jay, I know that you are working with Johnny. So he was basically like, I want to break that whole thing up. And Jay's like, that's my friend. I'm really surprised at Jay because I feel like even though Jay has always had alliances, Jay plays the game, plays his cards a little closer to the vest usually, and is a little more neutral. But now he's gung ho, like I'm riding for Johnny. Johnny is my friend. Like I'm not gonna go against Johnny. And then Michelle starts crying and being like, Nanny, you should have talked to me. I would never have done this to you, blah, blah, blah. Jay said that he doesn't know if Michelle is acting. He was like, I don't know if this is what Michelle did on Survivor, but hey, maybe it'll work or whatever he said. That was kind of funny. We get into this Turbo one. Turbo was just like, I don't want to even be here. I don't want to talk to you guys. I'm getting up. Stood up, and she was like, Nanny was like, Turbo, sit down. Talk to me. Sit down. He said, no, you sit down. And she was like, I'm already sitting down. And then his partner, she started to stand up, and Bananas was like, no, no, stay seated. And then he said, come, we're leaving. We're leaving. Like this is some dictatorship thing for him. And then she looked really uncomfortable. She got up. She tried to say in the confessional, it wasn't like he was controlling her, but she made an agreement with him prior of how they were going to handle that meeting. I don't know about all that. I think she was just trying to make it look like he wasn't dictating her, which it clearly looked like he was. So then Nanny looks at Johnny Bananas and is like, he basically made the decision for us. Like, he made my decision easy now. So we knew that they were going to be the selection to go in based on that. So we get to a party scene. Awesome. Party club scenes are back. We didn't have any party or club situation in USA at all. So we get into this party scene. Horatio and Laurel are having a conversation in there. And I'm like, here we go with Laurel again. Laurel's looking for some young blood. Every season, Laurel gets with somebody, and it's typically a strong player in this game. And Horatio is not the biggest player in the game or anything like that, but he had a strong showing in the first daily. And I'm not saying that Laurel gets with people for the sake of winning, but I just think that Laurel always needs to have somebody in the game. It always has to be some kind of romantic partner in a way. And I think she's always attracted to the strong players. Nicole, CT, Jordan, Evelyn. Like, if you look down her roster and her history, Cara Maria, like, there's never a player that she's into or a person that she's into in the game that is not a strong competitor. I think that turns her on. I think that turns her on. Yeah, so it shows them having like this little flirtatious kind of thing going on. He's the quiet, shy guy, and she's the aggressive one that goes after her prey, gets who she wants, and that was a cute little interaction that they had. Where are we at here? So Michelle is trying to talk to Jay and tell Jay that he needs to cut ties with Johnny because Johnny made waves in week 1, and a lot of people in the house fear him, especially the vets. Jay is like, that's my friend. I'm riding for my friend. I guess in a way, Jay has always been like an I'm riding for my friend type of guy, but I didn't know that he had that strong of a relationship with Johnny, but apparently he does. Um, yeah, so they were going back and forth about that for a while. How about Michelle saying about Jay in the confessional? I want Jay to stay on his collar. I want Jay to sit and stay and make sure. I want to make sure that my dog is under control. I'm not trying to stir the pot here, but let a man have said some kind of comments like that. She said, "I want my dog to sit and stay on his leash, and keep him under control." And she's looking down like there's a dog on the ground. I'm almost at the end here. So hi Shy. So we get to the Dagger Selections, which are so cool to me. The Dagger Selections, it gives me Dirty 30 vibes. If y'all saw the Dirty 30 season of the challenge. So the way how the daggers work in this particular season, out of the 4 teams that get selected for interrogation, the power team, the team that won the daily mission, selects one team that is definitely going into the elimination pit. I forgot what this one is called. And then the other 3 teams have to pick daggers. Now, on the Dirty 30 season, one team would pick I forget what it was, but they would pick that thing that would make them have to go in. Whereas in this season is not like that. They made a twist to it. There's 3 daggers. You pick dagger 1 and dagger 2, they're blanks. Dagger 3 says safe on it. So picking a blank dagger doesn't mean you're safe. The only thing that means you're safe is picking the dagger that says safe. And when you're safe, you pick a team to save with you, and the remaining team goes in. So let's see here. Jay and Michelle end up selecting the safe dagger, and not selecting the safe dagger. They were the last people to pick. So the other 2 teams picked the blank daggers, and by default, everyone saw that the safe dagger was the only one remaining. So Jay was just like, thank you, God. So then Jay and Michelle quickly try to revisit this conversation where Michelle wants Johnny and Raven to be selected. And Jay is like, no, that's my friend. It's like, no, that's my friend. So he ends up saving. She says at the end of the day, he's my ride or die, as in Jay. Michelle says Jay's her ride or die. I'm going to go with whatever he says, even if we're both kind of steering in different directions. We're still on the same team. I'm going to go with my boy, right? Who's your recent favorite rookies? I'd be trying to save the strong competitors so that I have their back and form a bond. So they end up going with what Jay wants, Jay's wishes. And that is to save Johnny and Raven. So that means that the couple that's going in is Horatio and Olivia. And to answer your question, Andrew, Horatio, I actually like him, even though I've only seen 2 episodes of him. I like him. He's a good competitor. Like, he's a solid competitor. He's a nice guy. I think that he probably has a little dog, a cutthroat in him as well, if push comes to shove. Olivia, not so much, but definitely Horatio. So we get into this elimination. Turbo and Tamara against Horatio and Olivia. So it looks at the beginning like they're both kind of even, and then it looks like Turbo and Tamara are possibly pulling ahead a little bit, and then that's when it all just changed because the whole group there, and especially the vets, were the loudest ones, directing Horatio and Olivia on which memory things to flip over. So at that point, it was clear everyone wanted Turbo out of the house. And I wanted to say a little bit about Turbo. I was a huge fan of Turbo. I was definitely a huge fan of Turbo on the show. And I was saying to myself, Turbo is just misunderstood. People just don't really get Turbo. Turbo came into this season like, I'm a champ. I'm a boss. I want you to bow when I walk into the room in my presence. Like, Turbo basically was just like, I want to intimidate everybody. Turbo came in there almost like the old CT, except worse. Because the old CT had that same kind of attitude, except people liked him. Well, let me rephrase that. Women liked CT. So CT had a social game in terms of just going around the house and hooking up with a bunch of the women. But with the men, he was just like, I'm big bad CT. Whereas Turbo's like, my ride or die is it. I don't care about anyone else. I don't care about relationships, bonds, whatever. And if you don't like me, I'm just going to go into the elimination and take you guys out because I'm that good. And he even said he wasn't surprised by the whole team going against him. He was just like, it takes the whole team to beat me. And maybe he's right. He's maybe top 5. I mean, I haven't seen enough of him, but if we're just talking about competition, he's probably like a top 5 male challenge competitor. But you can't win without relationships. Sorry, Turbo. It is what it is. Turbo's attitude got eliminated, and I don't agree with anyone helping during elimination. I have to catch up on the challenge. I'm so lost. Well, we're only on episode 2, Shy, so you haven't missed a whole lot. CT is way calmer and nicer now. So, okay. So, of course, Turbo and Tamara lose, and Horatio and Olivia win. Everyone's cheering, and Horatio basically says he understands that. He's like, I know that I'm a nice guy, whatever, well liked. But the thing is, he knows that the bigger thing was him taking out a bigger target that everyone wanted out. And he said he's going to remember, the people who put him in and wanted him in or whatever. So I think that they're still going to have allegiance to the rookies. I'm glad they're coming back. They bring a really interesting dynamic to the team. After that's done, it's funny when Turbo's like, I don't respect the banana, but I still want Nanny to win. Nanny says they're not friends anymore. I don't know about now, but that's what she said on the show. I know there's a lot of things that they probably had to discuss after the show ended. Maybe I'll look that stuff up, but this is just an episode recap real quick. And at the very end, TJ says he's feeling friendly. He's bringing back one of the most iconic players of all time. And that player was Jordan. It was really dramatic and exciting the way that he came in. And then how they panned to Tori. And they had prefaced that earlier by this conversation Devin was having with Tori, where she was like, I had so much work to get through processing this relationship with Jordan. They made sure to show that. Then when he walked in, They made sure to show the clip of Tori talking to the diary room and saying that she hasn't seen Jordan in person in a year and a half. And then in the previews for the upcoming episodes, it was showing how they were going to have a conversation, Jordan and Tori, and how she says to Jordan, "You knew I was going to be here. I didn't know you were going to be here." And yeah, this is only episode 2, man. This is only episode 2. Thank you. Thank you to these producers and TJ and the cast and everyone involved. I'm really excited about this season going forward. I'm excited to see what happens next. And that's the end of my recap. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will be back at a later time. Have a great day.